Hi all, welcome to another video lecture. In this video lecture, we will see what is the difference between sum versus SUMX in DAX. So what is sum? Sum is a function which adds all the values in a column. This is the syntax sum and then you give the column name. Behavior is that it is having a simple column wise aggregation. This is the example in which if we have to calculate the total sales, then we can simply pass the sales revenue column inside the sum function. This is the SUMX. SUMX is an iterator function. It iterates through a table and sums evaluated expressions. So in this particular syntax of SUMX, we pass the table and then the expression. Inside the expression, we have the row context plus the expression evaluation. For example, the total sales X equals to SUMX of sales table we are mentioning. And if we have to go ahead and multiply two separate columns within a table, then we can easily do it using the SUMX function. Remember, if we have to perform some kind of complex aggregation which involves two separate columns being multiplied or added or some kind of operation happening between multiple columns inside the table, then we definitely should go for SUMX. Sum is used for simple aggregation, column wise aggregation. This is the syntax comparison, sum of column context only, while the SUMX is SUMX table and then we give the expression. Expression has row plus expression context. So in the use case comparison, you have quantity and price columns. SUMX needed when calculating revenue equals to quantity into price. For example, this is what we said, and sum cannot multiply two columns directly. As far as performance is concerned, sum is faster for simple aggregation. SUMX is flexible but may be slower on large tables. Okay, optimize using variables and filters. So generally SUMX is used whenever we want to perform complex aggregation which involves calculations that is performed at every row level within that table, then only we use SUMX, else we use sum function. Sum is much faster for simple aggregation. So which one to use? Use SUMX when you need to total a column. Use SUMX when you need to evaluate a row wise expression. So this is the summary. Sum equals to simple column total and SUMX is row iteration plus expression evaluation. Okay. So let us go to Power BI and let us see this in practical. So we have this Walmart sales table. Okay. Let me delete the measures which are already created. Let me go ahead and delete them. Delete from the model. Yes. And let me delete this one as well. Okay, so we have the Walmart sales table, and within this table we have the store ID, we have the weekly sales, we have the temperature, the fuel price, the CPI and the unemployment rate for every specific dates. Okay, so what I want to find out is I want to go ahead and multiply the fuel price with the weekly sales. Okay, let's just take these two columns, for instance, the fuel price and the weekly sales. Let's multiply them together and let's find out the total value of the product of fuel price and the weekly sales. Okay, so can we do it? Yes, we can do it. Okay, so let me just show you two methods how we can actually do this, right? So the first method is using the SUMX function. Okay, or rather let me first show you the sum function. Okay, what we can do is we can create a new column, and in this column let me name this as column sum, and within this column I am going to go ahead and simply multiply the weekly sales with the fuel price, and let me hit on enter. So with this, what is happening that weekly sales is getting multiplied with the fuel price and it is going ahead and it is giving me the column sum value, right? Now if I want to find out the total aggregation of this column sum, then what I will simply do, I will create a measure, and within this measure I will name this as measure sum, and within this measure I am going to say sum of the entire column sum. And now let me go ahead and take one card and let me pass this measure sum. You see it is giving me as 22.64 billion. So can we do this some other way? This we have used using the sum function, but let's do it some other way. Okay, let me go ahead and create one more measure, and in this measure we will use the SUMX function, SUMX. So SUMX, within this we will pass the table name, comma. Here in the expression we will multiply the columns. Okay, so what columns we will multiply? The weekly sales into the fuel price, and let's hit on enter. And now in this card, let me go ahead and add one card. In this particular card, I will go ahead and pass the SUMX function. You see it's giving me the same value, 22.64 billion and 22.64 billion. So which one is a much better option to use in this case? Let's think about it, right? In this, for you to use the sum function, you actually had to create one separate column in this particular table, which is not at all required. It's not at all a good practice, because whenever you have large data sets, it's always advised to go ahead and put some lesser toll on your data model. By including a separate column known as column sum, you have increased the size of your data model. So while processing, it will take much time. While refreshing, it will take much time. Okay, it will take time to load this data now. So that's why it is advised in this case to use the SUMX function. If you use the SUMX function, then the dependency of you adding a separate column in this table is reduced. Okay, so here SUMX is a much better choice, and in these scenarios only where we have complex aggregation, where we have to multiply on row level context, definitely you should go for SUMX function, the iterator functions. Okay, so it will perform faster when we have a single columnar aggregation. If you want to perform, like for example, if in the measure sum, right, if instead of using column sum, right, if I have to perform it on let's say the weekly sales itself, right, so if I go ahead and if you do it for weekly sales, right, it will give me 6.73 billion. So which one will perform faster? If you only apply it on measure, right, without creating some extra column, here I had to create one extra column, but let's say I don't want to create some extra column. Let me remove this from the model. Here, which one will act fast? Here sum function will work faster compared to SUMX, because now there is no dependency of that extra column that we have added, because we are calculating the weekly sales. So for single columnar aggregation, sum will always perform faster than SUMX. So it depends upon the requirement basically. For wherever we have complex aggregation, go for SUMX directly. Do not end up creating separate column here and do all kind of calculation. That will increase the size of your data model. Okay, and that will make the entire your entire model very efficient. Okay, refresh time will be higher, so that is not recommended at all. And this is not just only for SUMX. This is for average X, max X, all kinds of or your iterator function. It is true for them. Okay. So I have covered for sum and SUMX, and automatically for average X, for maxes, it will follow along. So I will not be making separate video for them. It's going to be much similar to that. Okay, just you have to replace sum with max, so it will give you the maximum of those aggregated values. Okay, so that's it, guys. Okay, that was it. So I hope if you really learned something valuable, if you really got the clarity, then please don't forget to like, share and subscribe my channel, and please don't forget to press the bell icon for notification. Thank you.